questions for Coach Oglesby or Coach Akina. Start with Michael.
For Coach Oglesby, how would you describe what it's been like this season, just trying to patch things together with an offensive line that's been in flux a lot?
Interesting would be, I guess, the word to best describe it. But through that, there has been some positives as far as younger guys being able to get reps, such as Alex Deuce, Michael Wooten. Lotto's even been in there to get some of that game experience. So while it has been interesting with the shuffling and whatnot that's gone on, there has been some positives in that regard.
So as the run game coordinator as well, how do you, I guess, assess what you guys have been doing there over the last few weeks, and in what ways do you think that needs to improve?
It definitely needs to improve. One of the big things with offensive line play is just the continuity of understanding the guy next to you and all that stuff, and there's been as we stated, kind of some major shuffling that has had to go on, and my responsibility is to find the things that puts us in the best opportunities to move the chains, and I think through this process there's definitely been a sense of finding ourselves, and these last 2 weeks or week and a half or so, with the bye and where we are now, I think we've sort of found something that will help that situation.
And for a guy like Quali, I think Coach Brennan said when he was at San Jose State he'd never fumbled, and he fumbled the last 2 games. What's maybe your message to him moving forward?
Next play. We can't dwell on negatives and allow things to get us twice, so to speak. It's a next play mentality.
David?
Josh, this offense has really struggled first possession coming out of halftime. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. Wish I knew the answer because we would definitely address it. I think our message to the guys has been starting fast coming out of the locker room, be it first drive of the game or first drive after halftime. And it's one of the things that we've addressed in practice and as a staff, and it's one of the things that we're continuing to work to be better towards.
And Duane, they really attacked, UCF really attacked Emmanuel Carnley in that game a few weeks ago. What do you think he learned from that experience?
It's an Irish coverage that we play. We're playing press man. There's well-thrown footballs. That's going to happen to you at times. Receiver ran through the catch, ball dropped in over the outside number. It's well-thrown football. Let's get back and play it again. Happened to Chris McAllister, Aaron Ross. It happens to the best corners out there. You just got to keep going when you're going to play press man. We got to work together. Coverage and pressure work together. If we're going to call blitzes, we got to get home. It's all put together, when you're playing defense. So there's no one man when you're starting to get to that, but it's well-thrown football.
Brian?
Coach, the Houston's quarterback is probably the most mobile you faced since those first few weeks of the season. How much did the experience of those games, you think, better prepare just the defense in general for trying to contain a guy like that?
Yeah, I think we faced a couple quarterbacks with legs, and those are always, in my humble opinion, the toughest quarterbacks to defend. For that reason, you see Keith Smith and Ortiz Jenkins up there, because when I was on offense, that's when we went to recruit. Danny Waite started to change the philosophy of the offense, but legs. But the running game's a little bit different with what they use with them. So it's still, each week, you have to prepare, try to pull what you've done in the past, as you've heard me say before, so these recs can stack up, and yet be aware of their run game, their tendencies. Very patient offense. Third and 10 is no different than first and 10 with these guys, so we have to understand that too.
Michael?
What one for each? For Duane, when you looked at the film of UCF, specifically the line of scrimmage, what jumped out to you?
Yeah, I got to play more 4 down. I need to do a better job of preparing this football team because everything that's on that tape falls on my lap, and I know that that's coaches speak in a lot of ways. but I live this game. That's how I'm wired. So we can talk about Manny, we can talk about so-and-so, but the one that continues to have to make the right decisions falls on this chair right here. So we had a week to assess. I've never been in a game like that over 44 years of coaching. Not happy with it, so we get another chance to line up again this week.
And for Josh, a lot of the pressure has come off the edges. What are some of the adjustments you can make to mitigate that, or what are some of the techniques you can work on with the tackles to try to control that?
Yeah, so we've done, in my opinion, a good job addressing that over this past week and a half. Difference in set angles, different, I guess you can call them tricks in the O-line world. And then the biggest thing is just getting back to basics and having those guys focus on the key fundamentals that we displayed early in the year, and just getting back to basics and the fundamentals of what it takes to be successful on the edge.
And Josh, just kind of follow on that, how do you think your line is adjusting to, when they have to go to the line and make changes to the protection, how that's taking place, kind of the instruments of that, and how they're identifying where potentially that pressure might be coming?
Yeah, so we have, we have a great luxury in Josh Baker out there. He's played a lot of football. He's seen a lot of things, and because of that, it allows for sort of a higher level of coaching as far as seeing different rotations, seeing different things like that. And he really excels in those areas. There are, good coaches on both sides, right? So there are certain times that, based on the protection that we're in, we're working away from a pressure or things like that, and there are different techniques that we have to use to try to work back to it, and other things like that. So there's there's a little bit more to just seeing and identifying the pressure, as far as just making sure that we're working the correct way.
What's your philosophy when you have a veteran, like say a Josh or a Jonah or Wendell, that doesn't play well? What's your philosophy on how to approach them about that? What do you want them to get out of performances that, where you expect more from them, and maybe they didn't deliver that?
Yeah, I think anytime you have guys that have done the things that they've done up until this point, they understand that they haven't played well, obviously, as well as we do as coaches. So you have to walk a fine line of addressing the things that need to be addressed immediately, as well as not crushing them to the point where it's hard to get them back, if that makes sense. But there definitely been conversations about when those performances are not up to par or where they need to be for especially our standards, as well as their own standards for themselves. But as Coach Akina said, when those things happen, I look at myself first, and did I prepare them well enough for what they were going to see? When it's good, it's on them. When it's bad, it's on me.
Jason?
For Josh, how do you balance performance versus patience? Like with a guy with who doesn't have a lot of snaps, might make some mistakes. Like how do you kind of balance, okay, they may not be playing well right now, but stay patient, where it's kind of saying, okay, it's just not working?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can never put the team in a bad situation, if that makes sense. So while there is patience for young players and things like that, at some point you're not a young player anymore. While things may be new, right, as far as seeing different things that happen in game, there is a point where you have to perform because of the responsibility to the team. So there is a sense of patience, but there's also a sense of urgency at the same time.
Ryan?
Josh, is it fair to say that you guys pull more than the average team with the line?
I don't know if I would say that we pull more than the average team, but it is a key component to our offense.
What is the advantage or the benefit of doing that as opposed to just like the straightforward run blocking?
The movement of gaps, creating new gaps in different places to make the defense, have to work on different run fits as opposed to, hey, I have the A gap, well, all of a sudden the A gap's moved, if that makes sense.
And with the amount of shuffling that there's been on the line, do you think that there has been some issues with the pulling because guys were at one spot and now they're at another and the pull is different?
So we do a lot of cross training in practice and individual. So I don't necessarily think that. I don't want to make the excuse of guys are in different spots and things like that. It's really come down to an execution thing, as well as just some of the things we're seeing defensively are a bit different than I guess what you see during the week game planning.
Justin? For Duane, the dime defense has Chase Kennedy as kind of like a roaming stand-up linebacker, D-liner. What led you to make him as that guy in that role?
Just his athletic ability. But the biggest thing that we got to do on defense right now is just play with more consistency. Do a lot of good things at times and then come back. Much like it. And then when plays present itself, it's to make them. Third play of the game, we punch the ball out. It's on the ground. The ball just needs to bounce right to create momentum, as you saw what happened in the BYU game. When we get a sudden change down there on the goal line, the offense goes down and marches down the field for 99 yards. And that's what, working together, that's what good teams do. It's our job to create momentum for our offense. 6th play of that drive, we have 2 hands on the football. We got to make that play. If you just look at the last 6 quarters, counting the West Virginia game, we've had 7 opportunities. 3 in the second half of the West Virginia game when the offense is doing a great job in the 4th quarter and is on track. We have the ball in our hands for an interception. We have 2 balls that we knock out. 1 turned into a fumble to illegal forward pass. I've never seen that momentum shift, So just plain consistency and some of those plays that present, because I think the offense feeds off of those kinds of plays, and it's proven. BYU game, right? 4th down stop on the first drive, down inside the red zone there, we go 90-plus yards. So we just got to do a great job of being more consistent on the defensive side of the ball. And not to elude your question, but I just want to make sure we understand that is something that we've really stressed on our side of the field. There's no one magical defense, because if there was, we'd all be playing it. Chase has had to become a plug-in because we've lost one of our linebackers. That was a key position. And so, depending on what the offense is presenting to us that week, we're trying to just utilize each individual's tools, I guess, what he can do. But we just need to do a better job of presenting the football back to the office. And what I know about takeaways, they come in bunches. So I'm hoping now this is the game that the ball does bounce right instead of left for us when we punch that thing out.
Last question, Michael.
Josh, you've been with Coach Brennan for a few years now, been through a lot of ups and downs at San Jose State, and you guys are kind of in a bit of a down stretch right now. What does he say? What does he do to help guide a team through a period like this?
Coach is awesome in helping teams through situations like this. Now, with that being said, we don't like to be in situations like this. But the mindset of just keep pushing forward, just keep swinging. It's like, breaking a massive boulder, right? It's not going to break on the first swing of the sledgehammer, right? But you keep chipping away at that thing, and eventually it will crack and it will break. And that is, the message to our team right now is, we have 3 guaranteed opportunities left, and we're fighting for a 4th. And you have to take it one game at a time, one snap at a time, and just focus on that. that's really, you know, the root of his message is one play at a time.
All right, that's our time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Yep.